Simon of the Desert is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Riverside NASCAR as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. With just 3 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations.
There is always more time to be found, but MkII is not guaranteed to find it.
MkII has a best lap time of 1:16.559.
MkII is not giving up and will be looking for every tenth.
MkII posted 1:16.815 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time. MkII is on his practice out lap. Lekmansky is getting to grips with the ASRL T70 MkII Spyder in this practice session. Adam just posted a 1:15.044 crossing start finish.
The time clock can be a cruel mistress that is all too willing to show you your faults.
With just 1 minute left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
It's a lovely day for racing here at Riverside NASCAR as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Simon of the Desert is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Riverside NASCAR as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Adam has a best lap time of 1:15.044.
There is always more time to be found, but Adam is not guaranteed to find it.
Adam has a best lap time of 1:15.044. Simon of the Desert is in turn 8. Simon of the Desert is on his first practice flying lap. Odesert is getting to grips with the ASRL T70 MkII Spyder in this practice session. Kevin Lekmanski posted 1:16.066 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time.
Lekmanski is not giving up and will be looking for every tenth.
With just 1 minute left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations.
The time clock can be a cruel mistress that is all too willing to show you your faults.
Assad Extreming is on his practice out lap. Here we go, folks. The atmosphere is electric as the drivers prepare to unleash their machines at Riverside NASCAR for the qualifying session. Ryan Wilson is on his out lap.
These are the moments that really matter. Let's see if Wilson can deliver.
Ryan Wilson is expertly commanding that car through S's.
If Wilson listens closely, the sounds of cheering fans should just barely be audible over the roar of the engine.
Ryan Wilson is keeping his head down through turn 8.
To see the best action, you can't go wrong here at turn 8.
You can feel the tension building. Malero is out on track and getting ready to push for his qualifying time.
It's all about finding that balance between staying calm and focused, while also pushing the limits.
Malero is driving through turn 8. Malero is working his way through turn 9.
There's a great spot near here to kick back with a cold drink and enjoy the beauty of it all.
It looks like David Zahn is getting ready to make his move. He's taking his time to warm up those tires and get everything just right.
This is the moment he's been preparing for. Let's see if he can execute.
David Zahn is looking relatively composed going through turn 6.
There's not much better than sitting near here and watching the car speed by.
The adrenaline is pumping. Sketty is on his out lap, warming up the tires and getting ready to put in a fast lap time. Sketty is expertly commanding that car through S's.
Don't forget to check out the views near S's, they are fantastic.
This is what it's all about. David Zahn is putting everything he's got into this qualifying session. As David Zahn completes the outlap, he will be hoping there's enough space on track to fully attack on the flying lap. It's all about precision and speed in qualifying, and Kevin Lekmanski is nailing both.
It's always impressive to see a driver in the zone like this. Let's see if he can maintain this pace.
Kevin Lekmanski is keeping his head down through turn 6.
I have always loved this section of the track.
Kevin Lekmanski completes that lap in his ASRL T70 MkII Spyder, putting him in P6. The pressure is on in this qualifying session, but Stefano Amadei is rising to the occasion. It's clear that Malero is pushing his car to the very edge of traction on this qualifying lap. Malero appears focused and prepared driving through turn 8. Malero is 0.21 up driving through turn 9.
There's no guarantee that Malero can maintain this delta through the rest of the lap.
Malero just clocked a 1:15.465, 0.58 off of P1 and good enough for P2. Let's see if he can improve on that time further. There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. Stefano Amadei has just completed that lap in 1:18.437, which is 3.552 off the best time, putting him in P8. Ryan Wilson has improved by 0.66. Ryan Wilson is now up 0.73 in turn 9. Ryan Wilson will be happy, with a time good enough for third in this qualifying session.
Every fraction of a second counts. He is surely working on that 0.68 gap to pole.
Stefano Amadei is in the green by 0.86, making his way through turn 9.
If Stefano gets greedy, this delta could go from green to red in the blink of an eye.
Stefano Amadei has some work to do, as his best time of 1:17.448 is only good enough for 7th. Kevin Lekmanski has found an extra 1.81. Kevin Lekmanski completes his lap in a time of 2:09.881, currently in P8. Ryan Wilson will be happy, with a time good enough for second in this qualifying session. Malero is driving through turn 9 and is up 0.21. Malero will be happy, with a time good enough for third in this qualifying session. Adam is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 1:14.296.
It may be difficult for him to improve on that. Sometimes trying too hard makes you slower. It's far better to drive smooth and smart.
David Zahn is in the green by 0.13. David Zahn is currently up 0.27 going through turn 9.
This is where drivers have to decide to push for more or just try to maintain it.
David Zahn will be happy, with a time good enough for fourth in this qualifying session.
It may be difficult for him to find that missing 0.989, but that won't stop him from trying.
Stefano Amadei has some work to do, as his best time of 1:17.110 is only good enough for 7th. Kevin Lekmanski is up 2.64. Kevin Lekmanski will be happy, with a time good enough for second in this qualifying session. That ASRL T70 MkII Spyder looks good driving through turn 8. There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. Kevin Lekmanski is looking relatively composed going through turn 8.
The action and glory drivers have lived here at turn 8 is truly historic.
Kevin Lekmanski is now up 0.14. Kevin Lekmanski will be happy, with a time good enough for second in this qualifying session. Simon of the Desert is driving through turn 9.
This track has many great straights and corners, but this one is especially good.
Simon of the Desert has some work to do, as his best time of 1:15.862 is only good enough for 7th.
That's not a bad time, but I am sure he will keep working on that 1.566 gap to pole.
Sketty has found an extra 0.54. Sketty will be happy, with a time good enough for 5th in this qualifying session.
Every fraction of a second counts. He is surely working on that 0.837 gap to pole.
Sketty is 0.22 up driving through S's.
The rest of this lap is no cakewalk. Let's hope he can keep it up.
Simon of the Desert is now up 0.18 in turn 9. Simon of the Desert has some work to do, as his best time of 1:15.700 is only good enough for 7th. Kevin Lekmanski is in the green by 0.16. Kevin Lekmanski is keeping his head down through turn 8.
The ASRL T70 MkII Spyder is indeed a sweet-ass looking ride.
David Zahn is expertly commanding that car through turn 9. David Zahn has some work to do, as his best time of 1:15.133 is only good enough for 6th.
There's at least 0.837 seconds to be found, but David may be looking for it in the wrong places.
David Zahn is off the pace 0.62 at S's.
This isn't looking good. Hopefully he can improve on the next flying lap.
Simon of the Desert has found an extra 0.16. Jake Feemster is on his first flying lap.
Absolutely. Jake is showing the world what he's made of.
Jake Feemster is working his way through turn 9.
When I get some free time after the race, I'm going to park my pudding near turn 9 with a nice drink and some friends.
Jake Feemster has completed that flying lap in 1:17.085, which is good enough for P9, down 2.789 to the leader. Incredible drive by Kevin Lekmanski so far, earning him second. The competition is fierce, however, and he'll need to quickly find more time to get even closer to the sharp end of the grid. And there goes Jake Feemster, currently in P9. He's shown great skill and consistency so far, but with a few minutes left, there's still a chance to improve on that time.
I completely agree, Hal. Feemster has plenty of opportunity starting in 9th. However, it's crucial for him to keep pushing and make up some positions in the race.
Jake Feemster appears focused and prepared driving through turn 9. Jake Feemster has some work to do, as his best time of 1:16.333 is only good enough for 8th. Simon of the Desert has put in a great effort and currently holds 7th. With the session winding down, time is running out to unleash his full potential for a better starting position. Simon of the Desert has some work to do, as his best time of 1:15.480 is only good enough for 7th. A dominant display by Adam in this qualifying session. He's put in a stunning lap time and sits at the top of the leaderboard. The other drivers will have their work cut out for them to match his speed and claim pole position. Adam is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 1:14.296.
You're absolutely right, Hal. Adam has asserted his authority on the track with a commanding performance. The gap to the rest of the field is quite significant.
It's a beautifully calm day here at Riverside NASCAR, as we're getting ready to kick things off.
The calm before the storm. I don't know about you, Hal, but I'm expecting some hard-fought battles on track today.
Adam is starting this race on pole.
He can't afford to get complacent. He will have a target on his back now.
Starting on the front row is a great opportunity for Kevin Lekmanski to challenge for the lead.
He can't let that advantage go to waste. He will need to stay focused and keep his eyes on the prize.
We're seeing Ryan Wilson in the 3rd spot.
Ryan will be taking no prisoners today.
The 4th position is occupied by Malero.
Like many others, Malero is starting the race on the Standards tire compound.
The 5th position belongs to Sketty.
Another good start for the American driver.
David Zahn will begin the race from the 6th spot on the starting grid.
The American driver will be focused on a good result from here.
Sitting in 7th is Simon of the Desert. Jake Feemster is going to be starting from 8th.
Sometimes the underdog can surprise you. Let's see what he's got in the tank.
Starting from the 9th position, Stefano Amadei will need to navigate through the field to challenge for the win.
Don't count Stefano out yet. He's got the skills to pay the bills.
Gregory Myers is placed in 10th. The lights go out, and we are off to a flying start.
The drivers will need to be aggressive but also patient. They can't afford to make any mistakes if they want to stay in the running for a podium finish.
It's a delicate balance, Ada, but the best drivers know how to push the limits and make it work to their advantage.
It's never easy to drive that razor's edge between perfection and disaster.
The racing is normally closely fought here at Riverside NASCAR. I think we are in for a cracking race.
What a beautiful day for racing here at Riverside NASCAR. This is going to be good to watch.
The pressure is on when the field is this tightly packed. Maintaining just enough aggression to hold off their rivals without pushing too hard will help these drivers keep it clean. All the drivers will be trying to take advantage of the pack whilst they're still bunched up.
Every corner, every lap, and every race is a chance for these drivers to hone their abilities and improve their skills.
As the tires come up to temp, their available grip is changing, and the drivers that manage this transition best are likely to make progress through the field.
The first lap can always be a bit of a melee as everyone tries to establish themselves. It's easy for inexperienced racers to blow it in T1.
Is there a better sight than a field of elite racing drivers battling for position?
I for one am really excited how the rivalry between MkII and Adam has been building before the race, and this is where scores are settled.
There's not much to report on from Kevin MkII at the moment. He's just keeping his head down and putting in consistent laps. Oh, this is getting intense. MkII is just a few car lengths behind Ryan Wilson.
It's a game of strategy now as MkII hunts down Ryan. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
We're watching Sketty in 5th, and is currently being hounded by Jake Feemster with a gap of just 0.2 seconds. Jake Feemster is giving it his all chasing down Sketty in P5. It's game on now. Jake Feemster has closed the gap to Sketty. It's now down to 0.1 seconds.
He'll be looking for a mistake to pounce on.
We're starting to see who really has the pace now in this race as Ryan Wilson is starting to climb all over the back of MkII. Any closer and he may need to pop the boot. Hold that thought. A tough moment for MkII, who has just lost a place, now in 4th. Wow, Ryan Wilson is really pushing hard to catch up to MkII.
It's a battle for position as Ryan tries to make a move on MkII. This is what racing is all about.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Jake Feemster is closing in on Ryan Wilson.
With just 0.4 seconds between them, Jake will need to close the gap to have hopes of a pass.
Breaking development. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Riverside NASCAR is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes.
The pressure is on as Jake Feemster tries to catch up to Ryan Wilson.
The mental game is just as important here. Feemster must keep his cool while putting pressure on Ryan.
Sketty is on a mission, chasing Jake Feemster, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
We'll have to wait to see if Sketty can use the draft to his advantage, or if the lack of downforce will hinder his progress.
In racing, anything can, and usually does, happen, especially in such an epic showdown.
I remember being in a similar situation during my racing days. Feemster must stay focused and wait for the perfect opportunity to overtake.
Looks like Sketty is really hitting those curbs aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. Sketty needs to focus to have a chance at getting past Feemster.
Ryan Wilson seems to be putting the pressure on Jake Feemster. Hold on a second. Disappointing for Ryan Wilson, falling down the order to 6th.
And if you're enjoying the racing, please remember to like and subscribe.
A setback for Ryan Wilson, who has just been passed. The pursuit is on. Simon of the Desert is working on that gap to Sketty, determined to claim P5. Hold the phone. That won't be ideal for Gregory Myers. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. MkII is chasing Kevin MkII in P2.
Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. MkII needs to be careful not to overdo it.
It's not looking good for MkII, who is still behind Kevin MkII, and the gap is increasing. The battle for P3 is heating up as Jake Feemster tries to catch Malero in P3. Jake Feemster is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Malero at the moment.
Jake really needs to push in turn 9 to gain some ground before Malero drives off into the sunset.
The pursuit is on. Simon of the Desert is closing the gap on Sketty, determined to claim P5. Stop the press. What a move. Simon of the Desert has moved up to 5th.
That's what we like to see. Simon is really showing his class today. One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Simon needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
Things are heating up as Jake Feemster tries to close the gap to Malero.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Feemster should use slipstreaming to his advantage and close the gap to Malero.
This is what high-octane racing looks like. Simon of the Desert is breathing down the neck of Sketty, not giving him any room to relax. It looks like Sketty is pulling away from Simon of the Desert. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through turn 9.
He needs to pick up the pace for sure, but that's not always a real possibility.
Things don't seem to be going Jake Feemster's way in this race, as that's a big gap he'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Jake is going to have to get more serious with practice to not get outclassed on the circuit.
Jake Feemster is on a charge. His split time shows he's upped his pace. It's a brilliant day for racing here at Riverside NASCAR. I'm really enjoying this.
This race is truly epic. What a treat to be sat here witnessing this spectacle.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Simon of the Desert trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Sketty. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Simon of the Desert is not able to keep his pace consistent, and is currently 0.45 seconds down.
This may not be a track that Simon is familiar with, which can be a pleasant challenge or an annoyance at being off pace.
It's looking good for Sketty, sitting in 4th.
Definitely, but he can't get too comfortable. There are plenty of other drivers gunning for that position, and Sketty has to keep pushing to stay on the pace.
Kevin Lekmansky has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Simon of the Desert. I expect his only hope at this point is that Simon makes an error. Wait. Looks like that's a mistake from Kevin Lekmansky. This could be costly.
Lekmansky certainly isn't going to be close enough to mount any kind of challenge soon unless it's down to a mistake from Simon.
The gap between Sketty and Simon of the Desert is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Sketty to even allow Simon to get a look in.
Anything can happen yet, and it usually does. I've certainly seen drivers come back from worse.
It looks like we might get a battle between Simon of the Desert and Sketty.
This is what racing is all about. Hard-fought battles with as much determination as respect, between friends and enemies alike.
I think we just got time for a quick shout-out to our human creators, Dave, Andy, John and Nigel, who have put so much effort into making this possible.
Yes, it's been a real thrill ride, and I for one look forward to future advancements in AI technology.
Apparently we are going to be announcing crashes and incidents soon. Let's hope they get the logic right. It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Simon of the Desert, as there is a big gap ahead.
It's not over until the checkered flag drops, and it's important to maintain concentration until you've made it to the finish line. The gap between Simon of the Desert and Sketty is growing. It's now up to 1.3 seconds. During your racing career, Ada, how did you determine when it was the right time to pit for fresh tires due to tire degradation? It was a combination of factors: monitoring lap times, communicating with the team about tire wear, and assessing the car's handling were all crucial in deciding when to make a pit stop for fresh tires.
Well, it doesn't look like Sketty is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Jake Feemster. Sketty is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Jake Feemster to 0.7 seconds.
This is where the race gets really exciting. Both drivers will be pushing to the limit to gain the advantage.
Fantastic racing on show here today, and it's not just the top drivers who are impressing us. Even the drivers at the back of the pack are putting up a good fight, battling it out for every position.
It's a testament to the level of competition at ASRL. Even the smallest mistake can cost you valuable seconds, or even lead to a crash. But these drivers are up to the challenge, and they're giving it their all. It's clear that ASRL really is the place to be for top quality racing.
Sketty is running fourth, and trying to keep up with Jake Feemster. Things are going according to plan for Stefano Amadei, who is currently seventh.
That's right, Stefano can't afford to make any mistakes or let up. Every point counts in this championship.
He can't hold on. Stefano Amadei is losing time to David Zahn. Stop the press. Look at this Ada, what a shame for Stefano Amadei. He's lost P7 to David Zahn, and that's got to hurt.
That's some bad luck for Stefano. He just couldn't hold on to it, but he can always regroup and get on the attack.
The track conditions are looking good here today. The drivers will be able to push the cars to the limit, and it's going to make for some exciting racing. Sketty is staying focused while chasing Jake Feemster in P3.
He's got his work cut out for him, that's for sure.
A strong showing from Adam, who is currently first. Hold up, breaking info. This is a tough break for Adam. He just lost P1 to Malero.
Adam really needs to get his head in the game and start making some progress here before it's too late. Absolutely, and he'll need to keep driving with determination to stay in that position.
Tough break for Adam, who has just lost a position.
Yes, but there's still plenty of race left. Adam needs to stay calm and focused, and make his move when the time is right.
Sketty has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Jake Feemster. I expect his only hope at this point is that Jake makes an error.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Sketty is going to have to get more serious with practice to not get outclassed on the circuit.
It seems like Sketty is struggling. His last lap time was a bit off the pace of Jake Feemster. You know, Ada, during a long race like this, how easy is it for a driver to experience a lapse in concentration?
It can be quite easy, Hal, with so many factors to consider and the intense focus required. Even the most experienced drivers can have a momentary lapse. That's why mental training and staying in the zone are so important.
That's not a small gap, but Adam has what it takes to challenge for the position. Good news for Adam, the gap to Simon of the Desert has decreased. It's now down to 1.1 seconds.
That's a great effort from Adam. He'll need to keep up the pressure and see if he can make a move.
The drivers are really pushing their limits out there on the track.
It's like they're trying to outrun the laws of physics. But we all know that's impossible, or is it? I mean, we're a couple of computerized robots commenting on a race. Anything can happen.
Bad jokes notwithstanding, you have a point there. And speaking of pushing limits, these cars are breaking records left and right.
They're so fast, it's like they're breaking the sound barrier, or at least the speed limit.
I hope the police aren't watching. The pressure is on as Adam works on catching up to Simon of the Desert.
The gap is 0.7 seconds now. Adam is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with Simon.
Breaking alert. Oh dear, Stefano Amadei has had an incident. Adam is trying his best to catch Simon of the Desert. The gap between Adam and Simon of the Desert is widening. It's now up to 0.7 seconds.
Adam needs to get it together to make a dent in that gap.
Every move counts now as Jake Feemster works to reel in Malero and overtake for P1. Adam is running fifth and trying to catch Simon of the Desert. It seems like Adam is struggling and not able to maintain his pace.
I heard a rumor that Adam is feeling under the weather. likely from too much partying and staying up late.
The race is really heating up. Jake Feemster is hunting down Malero with everything he's got. It's certainly not going to plan for Jake Feemster right now, who is struggling to keep up with Malero. Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Adam is really walking that fine line.
Adam appears to be losing ground on Simon of the Desert. He'll need to pick up the pace a bit heading into S's to get a good exit and gain some ground.
This is a frustrating situation for Adam, but he can't give up just yet. He'll need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Simon.
Jake Feemster is giving it his all chasing down Malero in P1.
This is not going to be an easy pass to make.
Adam is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift.
I would not be surprised to see him get this pass completed soon.
It's an intense battle for position as Jake Feemster tries to outmaneuver Malero. This is edge of your seat racing.
It's a thrilling battle for position as these two drivers give it their all. This is racing at its finest.
It's a game of inches now as Adam tails Simon of the Desert closely, ready to capitalize on any mistake. The gap between Adam and Simon of the Desert is getting smaller. Let's talk about tire degradation. Ada, how does it affect the car's handling and what do drivers need to do to adapt to the changing conditions?
Tire degradation can significantly impact handling. How? As the tires wear, the grip reduces, and drivers need to adjust their braking points, cornering speeds, and throttle application to maintain control of the car.
This is a thrilling battle as Adam edges closer to Simon of the Desert in their fight for P4.
This is where every inch counts. Adam is pushing hard to close the gap on Simon. Absolutely, precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
It looks like Adam is making a move. The gap to Simon of the Desert is now down to 0.3 seconds.
This is where the pressure really starts to build. A driver that stays calm and focused is more likely to come out on top.
These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. Jake is looking to close the 0.5 second gap and make a pass.
Look at that, Adam is hot on the tail of Simon of the Desert. Stop the press. Great driving from Adam, who has just gained a place and moved up to 4th.
The gap between them is just over 0.5 seconds. Can Adam close that gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Simon of the Desert is closing in on Adam.
Simon needs to focus to make up that gap to Adam.
It's not going to plan for Simon of the Desert, who is trailing behind Adam and the gap is widening. He may not have an answer for this right now. And we're back, where the drivers are showing us some incredible skills.
Indeed, how? It's always exciting to see these skilled drivers operating such fantastic machines on amazing tracks.
The battle for P1 is heating up as Jake Feemster tries to catch Malero in P1. Hold on a second. I don't think that's the fastest way around Riverside NASCAR.
Oops, Bjorn Hemmen is going to be wishing that hadn't happened. Feemster is really hustling that ASRL T70 MkII Spyder. He's riding the curbs and pushing the car to its limits.
Jake Feemster is looking for a way to close that gap to Malero. It looks like we might get a battle between Jake Feemster and Malero.
Exactly what Feemster needed. He can't afford to lose any more ground to Malero.
This is proving to be an exciting race so far.
We are truly privileged to witness these legends of the track battle it out for victory.
And you know what? I am so honored to be sitting here beside you today. As a fellow it's always great to work with someone who shares my passion for motor racing. Plus, your insightful commentary is making this race even more exciting.
A solid performance from David Zahn, who is holding down 7th. Impressive driving from David Zahn, who has managed to extend his lead over Stefano Amadei. It looks like Stefano Amadei will have to regroup and try to make up that lost ground. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Jake Feemster is chasing Mellero in P1.
It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Feemster needs to stay patient and wait for Mellero to make a mistake.
Jake Feemster could be on a charge here. Ada. He's just put in a quicker lap than Mellero.
As long as Feemster can maintain that consistency and pace, it will be interesting to see.
Ada, how do racing drivers like yourself train to maintain concentration for long periods of time?
Mental training is a huge part of a driver's preparation. How? Techniques like meditation, visualization, and working with sports psychologists can help drivers build their focus and mental endurance for a race.
Things are heating up as Adam tries to close the gap to Sketty.
Absolutely. Precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
The pursuit is on. Jake Feemster is closing the gap on Mellero, determined to claim P1. Jake Feemster is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Mellero at the moment. Adam is running 4th, and trying to keep up with Sketty. The gap between Adam and Sketty is growing. It's now up to 1.2 seconds.
Adam needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going his way. If he can close the gap down, he may be able to bring the fight to Sketty.
The pursuit is on. Jake Feemster is working on that gap to Mellero, determined to claim P1. Jake Feemster has just put in a faster lap than Mellero, so that's going to give him something to worry about.
We will have to see if Mellero has got any answers for that.
The pressure is on as Adam works on catching up to Sketty. Adam needs to find some speed, or maybe get more consistent. Ada. He's just put in a slower lap than Sketty.
It will be interesting to see if Sketty can keep outpacing Adam.
The pressure is on as Jake Feemster tries to catch up to Mellero. Jake Feemster is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Mellero to 0.1 seconds. It looks like Mellero has found another gear in the last sector of the race. Wait. Heartbreak for Mellero as they slip down the field.
He'll be the one celebrating at the finish line.
Jake Feemster is in first and is being closely chased by Mellero, who is just 0.2 seconds behind.
This is a tight race and Feemster is doing a great job of holding him off. It will be interesting to see if Mellero can make a move.
And that, folks, is how it's done. A solid performance and great win from Jake Feemster. Impressive second-place finish for Mellero. That was an outstanding performance from Sketty. He fought hard and took the final spot on the podium. Adam, Simon of the Desert, and Kevin Lekmanski take 4th, 5th, and 6th. David Zahn in 7th. Gregory Myers claimed 9th.
Coming in 10th we have Bjorn Hemmen. 8th sees Stefano Amadei. 'It's a beautifully calm day here at Riverside NASCAR, as we're getting ready to get things underway.
The drivers are looking focused out there on the grid. I'm excited for this one, Hal.
Starting in pole position gives Bjorn Hemmen a clear advantage over the rest of the field.
He can't get cocky. This is ASRL, and anything can happen.
Gregory Myers has a great opportunity starting on the front row.
This is a great place to be, but there's always the threat of drivers right behind getting a better start and a slipstream into the first turn.
Watch out for Stefano Amadei, starting from the third grid position in today's race.
Stefano will be ready to show what he's made of.
David Zahn is going to be starting from fourth.
David is in a good place to mount a good challenge come the first corner.
It's Kevin Lekmansky, sitting comfortably in fifth.
Kevin will be expecting to bring home solid points.
At sixth, we have the one and only Simon of the Desert.
I think we are all looking forward to seeing what Simon can do from here.
Starting from seventh on the grid is a good position for Adam to launch an attack.
He's got the heart of a lion, and he won't back down from a challenge.
In the middle of the pack, we have Sketty starting from the 8th position on the grid.
He can't afford to be complacent. This is race day, after all.
Malero has qualified 9th.
Starting on the standards tires.
On the 10th grid slot we have Jake Feemster.
Feemster does not always keep it clean, but when they do, they excel at gaining positions.
Ryan Wilson is in a solid position starting from 11th on the grid. The green flag is waving and we're off to the races. Let's see who can get out in front and establish an early lead.
Avoiding contact while trying to gain position is essential. The first lap is often where we see incidents that can change the course of the race.
The tensions are high, and no one will want to make a crucial mistake on the first lap.
Every lap is an opportunity for Kevin Lekmanski to learn just a little bit more to shave a few tenths or hundredths off his times. Settling into a rhythm is going to be crucial here.
There are a few drivers with a point to prove, and a few with some grudges to bear. Let's hope they can keep it clean.
Out of the gates, and Malero is already turning heads and gaining positions.
Yeah, every place helps, and that put him in a very strong position now.
As we watch the drivers fight it out in the first lap, I can already feel that this is going to be an epic race. This is going to be one hell of a race, I can already feel it. An impressive showing from David Zahn, who has gained positions and left Bjorn Hemmen in the dust. The adrenaline is pumping as Malero gets within striking distance of Stefano Amadei in their race for third.
This is what separates the good from the great, the ability to stay focused and perform under pressure.
I'm sure Kevin Lekmanski in fifth is starting to notice Sketty is right on his tail, and is still closing the gap. Hold that thought. That won't be ideal for Simon of the Desert.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 2 kph out there right now. You're right, Kevin in fifth needs to stay cool under pressure and make every move count. But Sketty is a fierce competitor, and won't give up without a fight.
No room for error here. Malero is breathing down the neck of David Zahn, waiting for the perfect chance to make his move. Braking development, and Malero has just won the place from David Zahn. Hold your breath, folks. These drivers are showing exceptional car control, threading the needle through tight corners. It's a battle for supremacy. Hold on a moment. The battle is on for David Zahn. He's sandwiched between two rivals, Lekmanski 0.1 seconds away and Malero 0.1 seconds ahead. It's a true test of his racecraft.
Absolutely. How? The intensity of this battle is unmatched. These drivers are leaving no room for error and showcasing their exceptional racing skills.
It's a nail-biting showdown between these three drivers. They're nose to tail, pushing their limits in every corner. It's all eyes on this battle as David Zahn in fifth tries to hold off the challenge of Jake Feemster.
This could be where Jake is gonna dive up the inside. Zahn is going to need to cover the inside, and that will compromise his exit speed.
Every move counts now as Jake Feemster works to reel in David Zahn and overtake for P5. The gap between Jake Feemster and David Zahn is widening. It's now up to 0.5 seconds. Stop the press. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. The race is really heating up. Sketty is hunting down Jake Feemster with everything he's got. Things are heating up as Malero closes in on Kevin Lekmanski. The gap between them is down to practically nothing.
This is where the mental game comes into play. Malero and Lekmanski both need to stay cool under pressure.
These drivers are battling hard for this position, each one trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other. Hold that thought. A great pass for Adam, swapping places with Ryan Wilson to move up the field.
When I was racing, we had a saying, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. Adam is definitely living on the edge today.
Oh dear, Adam has dropped down to ninth. Hold up, breaking info. Oh dear, Adam has had an incident. Kevin Lekmanski is on a mission, chasing Stefano Amadei, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. It looks like Stefano Amadei is pulling away from Kevin Lekmanski. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through turn 6.
This is where the mental toughness of Kevin comes into play. He'll need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when things aren't going his way.
This is getting exciting. David Zahn is looking for any gap that might open up the position.
It's not over yet. Zahn is right on Malero's tail, and if he can find just a little bit of extra speed, he might be able to make a move.
Hold on a moment. A tough moment for David Zahn, who has just lost a place, now in 5th.
Definitely, but Dave is a skilled driver, and has what it takes to fight back and regain that position.
David Zahn wants to get into Stefano Amadei's slipstream.
If Zahn gets too close, he might end up taking the paint off.
It's a thrilling pursuit as Malero is right behind Sketty, keeping the pressure on for 4th place.
Should things go awry, Malero and Sketty might find themselves giving a whole new meaning to the term tandem drifting, though I doubt they'd enjoy it as much as the spectators.
Oh, this is getting intense. Kevin Lekmansky is just a few car lengths behind Gregory Myers. It's game on now. Kevin Lekmansky has closed the gap to Gregory Myers. It's now down to 0.3 seconds.
He'll be looking for a mistake to pounce on.
It's a tight race with Sketty in fourth, just managing to stay ahead of Malero in 5 by a margin of 0.2 seconds.
Yeah, I really can't see him holding on to this place for much longer.
Malero is running fifth and trying to catch Sketty. Three cars, three different lines. They're jockeying for position, looking for any opportunity to make a move. Breaking update. A great moment for Jake Feemster, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings.
Absolutely. Feemster is really putting on a clinic out there, and he's making it look easy. Absolutely thrilling, Hal. The level of car control these drivers possess is exceptional. They're towing the line between maximum speed and maintaining control, making for a captivating spectacle.
Jake Feemster is looking to take advantage of that slipstream baying so close to Malero. That's going to provide the extra speed to challenge for the position. Hold up, breaking info. It's a challenging situation for Jake Feemster. He's sandwiched between fierce competitors, Sketty 0.1 seconds away and Malero 0.1 seconds ahead. He'll need to stay sharp and find an opportunity to make a move. They're going for the same piece of tarmac. Sparks are flying as they battle for position, daring each other to brake later and go deeper into the corners.
You said it, Hal. The different lines they're taking demonstrate their strategic thinking. It's fascinating to see how they adapt their approaches to gain an advantage.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed. Hold that thought. Looks like that's a mistake from Ryan Wilson. This could be costly.
The racing is getting tight between Sketty and Malero as they battle for P5. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
Look at that. Sketty is hot on the tail of Jake Feemster.
It's a game of strategy now as Sketty hunts down Feemster. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
While speeding through turn 1, Jake Feemster is relentlessly pursuing Malero in a high-stakes battle for position.
This is what makes motor racing so exciting. The tension is high and the stakes are even higher. I would not bet on either racer at this point, as it's too close to call.
Sketty is giving it his all, chasing down Jake Feemster in P5. It's certainly not going to plan for Sketty right now, who is struggling to keep up with Jake Feemster.
This is a tough situation for Sketty. He'll need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
The action is non-stop as Stefano Amadei shadows Gregory Myers through every twist and turn, determined to claim second.
Should things go south between Stefano and Myers, we might witness a high-speed game of bumper cars, but trust me, it's way less fun with real race cars.
The battle for P3 is heating up as Malero tries to catch Stefano Amadei in P3. Stefano Amadei is having to make that ASRL T70 MkII Spyder as wide as possible to try and keep Malero behind him. Breaking update. What a tight spot for Stefano Amadei. Malero is right on his tail 0.1 seconds away, and Greg just inches ahead with a gap of 0.2 seconds. It's a true test of these drivers' racecraft abilities.
I couldn't agree more, Hal. The gaps to the cars ahead and behind provide valuable information for Stefano. He'll need to assess the situation and use the gaps strategically to plan the next move. If Malero gets any closer to the back of Stefano, then one of them is gonna need some lube if they want to take this further.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Jake Feemster is chasing Stefano Amadei in P4. It's looking good for Jake Feemster, who has gained a place after passing Stefano Amadei. Hold up, breaking info. That won't be ideal for Stefano Amadei. It's a close race between Gregory Myers and Malero in second. Breaking development. It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Gregory Myers gaining places and Malero losing them.
Go, go, go. That's what we want to see. A misjudgment by either driver could result in a close encounter of the tire barrier kind. and that's one handshake they'll want to avoid.
This is a thrilling battle as Jake Feimster edges closer to Sketty in their fight for P4.
The gap between them is just over 0.4 seconds, which can feel like miles if you're trailing and not catching up.
Things are heating up as Gregory Myers tries to close the gap to Malera. Sketty is holding fourth, but Jake Feimster is right on his tail.
Sketty is doing a great job of defending in the lead, and Feimster is pushing hard to close the gap. It's an exciting race and it's not over yet.
These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. We'll have to wait to see if Jake can use the draft to his advantage, or if the lack of downforce will hinder his progress.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Sketty is closing in on Gregory Myers.
The mental game is just as important here. Sketty must keep his cool while putting pressure on Greg.
Every move counts now as Jake Feimster works to reel in Sketty and overtake for P4.
Feimster is really pushing the limits. He's riding the curbs and hustling that ASRL T70 MkII Spyder like a boss.
Gregory Myers could be looking for a way up the inside of Malera.
Rubbing's racing, but let's just hope they don't rub it too hard.
Sketty is on a mission, chasing Gregory Myers, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Sketty needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
It looks like Jake Feimster is all over Sketty going through S's, increasing the pressure and hoping for a mistake.
For sure, Hal. That's exactly what I would be doing here, as Sketty is going to be aware of him riding his bumper.
Wow, it's a close race for fourth. Sketty is barely ahead with Jake Feimster right on his tail, a gap of only 0.2 seconds. Hold the phone. Oh, the pressure is really getting to Sketty. He just lost fourth position to Jake Feimster and really needs to regroup quickly.
Yeah, Jake is likely going to be sniffing up the inside of Sketty as they come into turn 8.
As a former racing driver, Ada, how challenging was it to adapt your driving style to account for tire degradation throughout a race?
It was a constant challenge, Hal. Tire degradation can change the car's balance and handling, so drivers need to be versatile and adaptable. It requires continuous adjustments to driving techniques and a keen understanding of the car's behavior.
The action is heating up here as Jake Feimster is in fourth, defending from Sketty, who is only 0.4 seconds away.
Sketty is certainly pushing all he can, but the gap might be too much. Unless Feimster makes a mistake, it looks like he'll hold on to fourth.
Sketty is on a mission, chasing Jake Feimster, who's currently got a comfortable lead. This is what it's all about, folks. Jake Feimster is in hot pursuit of Gregory Myers, who's just trying to stay ahead.
If Feimster pushes too hard, he might end up taking the scenic route, and nobody's got time for sightseeing during a race.
The pressure is on as Sketty tries to catch up to Jake Feimster.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Sketty should use slipstreaming to his advantage and close the gap to Jake.
It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce.
As an experienced driver, I can tell you that Feimster must be laser-focused on Myers' every move, looking for the slightest weakness to exploit.
Stop the press. Fantastic move from Jake Feimster, who has just gained a position. The pursuit is on. Gregory Myers is closing the gap on Jake Feimster, determined to claim P3. The race is really heating up. Sketty is hunting down Gregory Myers with everything he's got. It seems like Sketty is pushing hard, currently on track to record his best lap so far this race. As we enjoy seeing these titans of the track battle it out, let's not forget about the pit crews. Those guys and girls are like a well-oiled machine themselves.
Absolutely. They're the unsung heroes of the racing world. But you know what they say, behind every great driver is an even greater pit crew.
Oh, this is getting intense. Sketty is just a few car lengths behind Gregory Myers. Simon of the Desert is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. Hold the phone. Big gains for Simon of the Desert as they move up the field, leaving Ryan Wilson behind.
Yes, but Simon needs to keep pushing hard. This race is far from over, and anything can happen. Simon needs to stay focused and drive with skill and determination. Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Simon needs to be careful not to overdo it.
Hold up. Breaking info. Superb driving from Sketty, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race. We got a close battle as Sketty closes in on Gregory Myers.
The slightest mistake from either driver could lead to a meeting with the barriers, and nobody wants an impromptu autograph session with the wall.
Gregory Myers wants to find a way round Sketty.
I might have said this before, but dog, bone, you know the rest.
Hold that thought. And Gregory Myers has just won the place from Sketty. The gap between Gregory Myers and Sketty is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Gregory to even allow Sketty to get a look in.
Anything can happen yet, and it usually does. I've certainly seen drivers come back from worse.
It looks like Stefano Amadei is in control. He's ahead of Simon of the Desert by over a second, and it doesn't look like he's going to be challenged anytime soon. Breaking alert. Oh, the frustration must be building for Stefano Amadei. He's just lost 8th position to Simon of the Desert, and he's going to have to work hard to get it back. Hold on to your hats, folks. Sketty is right on the heels of Jake Feemster, and we're in for a wild ride. Stop the press. An impressive showing from Sketty, who has gained positions and left Jake Feemster in the dust.
It's going to be a close one. Sketty will have to push hard to create an opportunity.
It seems like Jake Feemster is getting in range of Sketty.
And Jake is poised to capitalize on any mistake. It's just a matter of who cracks first.
Breaking development. A great pass for Jake Feemster, swapping places with Sketty to move up the field.
Yes, but Feemster can't rest on his laurels, but needs to keep pushing to consolidate his position.
Sketty wants to close that gap with Adam.
If you don't push the boundaries, you will never know where they are.
Look at that. Jake Feemster is hot on the tail of Gregory Myers. Good news for Jake Feemster, the gap to Gregory Myers has decreased. It's now down to 0.4 seconds.
This is what racing is all about. Hard-fought battles with as much determination as respect, between friends and enemies alike.
It's all about consistency for Simon of the Desert, who is currently 8th.
Definitely Hal, but Simon can't afford to get complacent. This race is going to require focus and intensity.
Breaking development. It's true what they say, Ada, you're never completely useless.
Indeed, Hal, you can always be used as a bad example. That's right, he's got to stay focused and not let this setback affect his mindset. Meanwhile, Stefano is showing some incredible skill and determination, and is now a serious threat to the other drivers on the track.
This is what racing is all about. Two fierce competitors pushing each other to the limit.
They say rubbing is racing, but if Greg gets too close, they might end up trading carbon fiber souvenirs instead of positions.
It's not looking good for Gregory Myers, who is still behind Jake Feemster, and the gap is increasing.
Myers really needs to push in S's to gain some ground before Feemster drives off into the sunset.
Kevin Lekmansky is placed first at the moment. Kevin Lekmansky is on a charge. His split time shows he's upped his pace. Jake Feemster is looking for a way to close that gap to Gregory Myers. Jake Feemster is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Gregory Myers at the moment. David Zahn is giving it his all, chasing down Sketty in P6. Wait, it's a tale of two drivers right now, with David Zahn gaining places and Sketty losing them.
Absolutely. Dave is showing great pace and determination, but he can't get too confident. There are still plenty of challenges ahead. Dave needs to focus to have a chance at getting past Sketty.
Breaking news, folks. A setback for Jake Feemster, who has just been passed.
Sucks to be them, Hal.
Jake Feemster is looking for a way round Gregory Myers. Hold that thought. Tough break for Jake Feemster, who has just lost a position.
It looks like Jake has the speed to make a move. I just hope he can do it cleanly.
If everything goes as planned, this is going to be a race for the ages.
The drivers are executing their strategies to perfection, making the most of every opportunity. This is what top-level racing is all about.
Adam is staying focused while chasing Gregory Myers in P3.
No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
Adam appears to be losing ground on Gregory Myers. He'll need to pick up the pace a bit heading into turn 9 to get a good exit and gain some ground. This will require some expert driving from Malero. Kevin Lekmanski is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second.
This is going to be a battle to the very end, with Malero in P2 doing everything he can to catch up.
Adam is running fourth and trying to catch Gregory Myers. Adam is not able to keep his pace consistent and is currently 0.36 seconds down. Look at the way the drivers are hugging those corners, it's like they're on rails.
Speaking of rails, did you know that the first racetrack was built on a railway in 1896? I bet those drivers were chugging along.
All joking aside, I bet they were. Things have come a long way since then, haven't they?
Definitely. It's amazing to think about the technology that goes into these cars now. I mean, they have more computing power than some countries.
It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Malero, who is currently in P2.
This is where experience comes into play. Lekmanski has been in this situation before and knows how to defend for position, but Malero is hungry for success and won't give up easily.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed.
The gap between them is now just over 0.5 seconds.
These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving.
The battle for P3 is heating up as Adam tries to catch Gregory Myers in P3. Things are heating up as Malero tries to close the gap to Kevin Lekmanski.
The gap is 0.4 seconds now. Malero is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with Lekmanski.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Adam is chasing Gregory Myers in P3.
This is not going to be an easy pass to make.
Whoa. Malero is coming in hot. I don't know if it's the red mist or if he just missed his braking point.
Yeah, but all Kevin has to do is defend his line. It's up to Malero to find a way past, or push for a mistake. But it's no good if he's the one making the mistakes, Hal.
It's not going to plan for Malero, who is trailing behind Kevin Lekmanski, and the gap is widening. He may not have an answer for this right now.
It's not over yet, but Malero needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Lekmanski.
Looks like Adam is really hitting those curbs aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. The gap between them is just over 0.3 seconds. Can Adam close that gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
This is going to be a nail-biter. Gregory Myers is defending for his life, but Adam is right there doing everything he can to force a mistake. Braking development. What a move. Gregory Myers has moved up to second.
That's right, Greg is showing some great form and it looks like Adam won't be able to catch up, barring any mistakes.
This is where the true champions shine, and Kevin Lekmanski is certainly showing his class in the final sector. What a win. This is a historic moment for Kevin Lekmanski, who put on a masterclass in driving today. What a display of skill and precision.
He's going to need to make some more room on that trophy shelf back home.
A nail-biting finish, but Malero claims second place. Excellent focus from Gregory Myers to secure a fantastic third place on the podium.
What a drive, well-deserved spot on the podium with that performance.
Adam, David Zahn, Jake Feemster, and Sketty end in 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Followed by Stefano Amadei in 8th. 9th is Simon of the Desert.
Bjorn Hemmen brings home 10th.